Developing software in the terminal is actually the way now. I have been developing since years in the terminal using Neovim, Tmux, and this kind of solutions. But now with Claude Code, OpenCode, and all other LLM CLI tools that you might use, this way of developing things is more viable than ever and more fun than ever. Using Linux and setting your setup up exactly as you want it with the help of LLMs is a breeze. So I believe that custom setups on Linux machines is actually the way to move forward for almost anyone. I can't imagine for myself to use anything else. Today I'm going to show you my setup, the software I use, the things I enjoy most, mostly terminal based or Linux based definitely. Let's go. I'm using Endeavour OS, which is basically an Arch base with some package on top of it. Like to install it at the beginning because it makes the setup a little bit simpler. That's the only reason. I'm using Qtile. That's the most important, one of the most important parts of the setup. Qtile is a tiling window manager. If you don't know what a window manager is, it's the thing that draws actually the windows or the applications on your screen. And tiling window manager because it tiles windows. So if I would open several windows here, they will be tiled. This is called a master stack layout. This is my standard layout. I actually work only in two layouts. This is the standard one, and the second one is the max layout, meaning there are just windows open. To showcase it, maybe open something else. And we open fast fetch here, and we can jump between those maximum sized applications like this. So this is the main layout I work with. Why I work with Qtile, actually, it fits exactly my mental model of how a workspace to screen thing should work. In normal window managers, you either have workspace 1, workspace 2, and always both screens change, or you have them completely separate. So workspace 1 here, workspace 1 here, workspace 1 here, workspace 2 here, and those have no connection with each other whatsoever. This is how Qtile works. You can have workspace 1 here and workspace 2 here, but you cannot have workspace 1 here and workspace 1 here. You can have one workspace per screen, and they are shared. So I can have workspace 1 here. I can switch to workspace 1 on this screen, but never at the same time. I don't know if it makes sense. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, just Google Qtile and how this works. It's actually kind of simple. It's just very difficult to explain the concept. This is my Autostart SH, so this is what actually starts with Qtile. You can see this here in my config. This is what actually starts. So it runs this Autostart .sh which is this file. It starts just the Blumen applet. The Blumen applet is a Bluetooth manager. The network manager applet is just a network app, so I can connect to Wi-Fi and see the network status and this kind of stuff. PyCom, it helps with screen tearing. Polkit is just a security thing. It opens up a window with a password when you open a dangerous app that can make some dangerous changes on your system. Then that's why you need a Polkit manager. If you don't have it, you will get some errors, or the app will simply not start if it is a dangerous app deemed by Linux. GreenClip is a clipboard manager. Together with Rofi, I can, fuzzy find anything in my clipboard, which is nice. VOLCTL, it's this thing. It's just to manage my volume. This kind of things, normally you don't have to install Linux. If you install a full distro with GNOME, and you don't have to do it. If you have a window manager, that's unfortunately the thing that you have to do. You have to install this kind of mini apps just to handle standard stuff, because a window manager is just that. It just manages the windows. That's why you have to install this kind of thing. This is actually not so important. I had a problem that my screen did switch off after a time if I was watching a YouTube video, which is a little bit longer, and then my screen does shut down. And this apparently disables switching off the screen. So the next thing is the terminal. I am working with Kitty here. I don't actually have a good reason beside it works and is fast enough. The software I use within the terminal, the one main thing I work with daily is Tmux. Tmux is a terminal multiplexer, so I can have multiple Tmux sessions or multiple windows with terminal open. This is actually how I built my IDE kind of experience using Neovim, which I will talk about soon, and using Tmux. For example, I can run here my session with LL, and then you go here and you make here your fast fetch, and you go here and you open up your Neovim and then close this terminal window completely and reopen it. Then normally those apps would be gone, but bigger, how was that? Yeah. Normally I would have to reopen this because the terminal window was closed, but Tmux keeps the sessions. When I open Tmux again, I can go BS and then I have open sessions. This is the sessions we just closed, so I can jump between those things. Everything, as you can see, is minimally styled, really minimally. I don't do much of rising and styling of these things, but just to make it all look a little bit coherent, a little bit nicer than the standard is enough for me. I made myself a nice little script, so when I go Tmux detach, I can go and press Alt P. So I can, for example, this is a project I was working on. I can, when I press now enter, I'm within the folder in a new Tmux session. And the Tmux session is also called as the folder itself. So I can jump faster between projects if I need to. Just a small quality of life script with the help of AI was like a 5-minute thing to set up. Nothing too complicated. It worked almost out of the box. I didn't have to debug much. It just worked. That's why I also love AI. These days you can make this little tiny quality of life things which make the computer work the exact way you want it. And this is just a great time to be alive. Very fun way to use the computer if everything happens the way you actually want it, and not like Microsoft on Apple that just tell you how you should be using your computer and that you should be using a mouse. No, I don't have to use my mouse like almost never. I'm very happy with my terminal based setup. Thank you very much. So for small terminal application that I'm using, maybe not so small, I'm using Fish Shell, for example. Fish Shell, it just gives me the autocomplete and this kind of stuff out of the box, and it actually works the way I would expect to work. Everything that I have to set up by hand with ZSH, Fish Shell actually has. Yes, it is not POSIX compliant, meaning I have to sometimes do a little bit rethinking how to write scripts and this kind of stuff, but actually that never has been an issue since I'm using it, so Fish Shell it is. The next thing which is very nice is Zoxide. If I, for example, press cd Qtile, then I jump to my Qtile.files. When I go cd, I don't know, dots, then it jumps into the dots files automatically. That's not a normal cd. Cd is normal. A normal cd would work a little bit like I would have to go to dots slash tmux slash dot config and so on to get into Tmux. But if I just do Tmux like this, it jumps there because it remembers the history where I have been. That's how Zoxide works. Very nice, very useful little tool. One more thing, that's why my dots look so strange, is I use Stow. So when I go into dots, I have all my dot files in here. Basically creates just symlinks to those files. It's a little bit easier to manage your dot files if you have them all in one folder. That's why I'm using Stow. Also a great app, works awesome if you once get used to it, and it makes managing your dot files just a breeze. Last but not least, Neovim. I love Neovim. It took me a while at the beginning, some years back, to learn the key bindings, but now I just love it. I'm using Neovim for everything connected to writing. I write everything, even if I'm preparing for things for this YouTube channel, I still write everything in Markdown and Neovim. The nice thing is V is an alias to Neovim, so always when I'm pressing V, I'm aliasing Neovim. My Neovim setup is actually not this complicated. I don't have that many plugins. I'm using Cat Pushing Team because I'm using Cat Pushing Team for everything and everything looks coherent. Yeah, FZF Lua for searching files, of course some LSP setup. Oil is the file manager that I'm using, so I'm not using any tree on the side or something like that. This is actually the file manager, so I can work on the files as it would be in a buffer. OpenCode, some signature help, some to-do comments. Not that many plugins. I don't like too many plugins. I'm just installing what I actually use. This is my Neovim setup. I love Neovim. I have tried Emacs in the past. Why not Emacs? Why Neovim, you might ask? Because I really don't like Lisp. I don't like Lisp. It's like parentheses everywhere, and it is kind of clunky. If you switch between Emacs and Neovim, you will notice Neovim is way faster. Maybe it changed, maybe it didn't. I like working with Neovim more. I really enjoy the minimalist style of it, so it is only for writing. What I can also show you is why go out there, clear, go to home folder. We can open up a project so we can see how it actually works. I think I have been working on my website. This is actually how I normally work. I have on the first workspace, so on the first Tmux pane, or however it's called, my Neovim. On the second one, I have always my simple terminal. So I'm in the project in a terminal. Sometimes you need this. On the next is my PHP server, and on the last one is my OpenCode. OpenCode, I love OpenCode. I'm using it with Claude Opus 4.5 most of the time. Works great. That works exactly again how my brain would work with this plan mode and build mode and review stuff. I tried Cloud Code, and it's just not as good as OpenCode. I don't like spawning up 15 terminal windows and in every one another agent does another thing or something like that. I like working step by step and in a more organized kind of way. That's why maybe I like OpenCode more, because this is actually simpler to do it like that in OpenCode. And in Cloud Code tries to do too much and it jumps out of plan mode just randomly. I don't know. Maybe it's a skill issue. I don't know. I got used to OpenCode and I will be using it as long as I can. All right, folks, that's actually all I wanted to talk about today. If you have to stare into your computer like 8 to 12 hours a day, more than 5 days a week, like I do, why not make it fun? Why not make it work for you, not against you? There's no one like Microsoft or Apple to tell you how to use your computer on Linux. You can do whatever you like. You can install the stuff that you want. You can write scripts. If you don't like something, you remove it, you change it. Yes, it is a little bit of work. Yes, you have to think a little bit differently about computing in general. But man, you are using this thing every day. Why not make it work the way you want it? Why not make computing fun? Next time I'm going to talk a little bit more about how I use AI to build projects, because a lot of things change since the last video I made about what my development setup is. I'm still using Laravel, Vue, and Inertia, but I'm using way more AI because it's awesome. And yeah, it's still fun to build stuff with AI. This is coming up next. I will show you exactly how I work with OpenCode and AI to build my projects reliably, safely, and still in a fun way. So I am still developing and not the AI. See you next time. Bye bye.